Hi everyone, in this lesson we're going to learn how to talk about what we eat for breakfast. We will begin with the model dialogue, and in this dialogue the two people are talking about what they eat for breakfast in the morning. As always, we will explain all the expressions in detail afterwards. What do you have for breakfast? I normally have some coffee. What about you? I usually skip breakfast. Okay, so first to ask what the other person eats for breakfast, we can ask, what do you have for breakfast? What do you have for breakfast? To talk about eating something, we can use the verb eat. So we can ask, what do you eat for breakfast? However, when we casually talk about eating something, we often use the verb have. Have can be used to talk about eating or drinking something. After asking what do you have, we can use the preposition for and then ask about a specific meal. In this question, we're asking about breakfast. So we say for breakfast. Breakfast refers to the first meal of the day. This word is made up of break and fast. Fast can be used as a noun to talk about not eating something, and break is a verb that means to stop or end something. So break fast literally means to end the period of not eating overnight and have our first meal of the day, breakfast. If we're asking about lunch, we can ask, what do you have for lunch? And if we're asking about dinner, we can ask, what do you have for dinner? Let's practice asking these questions. What do you have for breakfast? What do you have for lunch? What do you have for dinner? That was great, well done. To answer this question, we can say something like, I normally have some coffee. I normally have some coffee. Normally is similar in meaning to usually. So we can use normally to talk about something we do 80 to 90% of the time. After saying I normally, we can say what we eat, have for breakfast. In this sentence, we've said some coffee. When we use some, we are not talking about an exact amount. It usually means more than a little, but less than a lot. We often use some when we are not being exact about the amount, or when we don't know the amount. Some can be used with uncountable nouns like coffee, and it can be used with countable nouns. But when it's used with countable nouns, the noun has to be in its plural form, such as some cakes. Here are a few other example sentences. I normally have some toast. I normally have some cereal. I normally have some fruit. Okay, so let's practice saying these sentences. I normally have some coffee. I normally have some toast. I normally have some cereal. I normally have some fruit. Great effort, well done. Finally, if we don't have breakfast, we can say something like this. I usually skip breakfast. I usually skip breakfast. The verb skip is commonly used to talk about jumping forward by moving one foot after another. So when we skip breakfast, we're talking about skipping over the breakfast, meaning that we don't have breakfast. This way of using the verb skip is most common when talking about not having a meal, but also when we talk about not attending a lesson or a class. So we can say skip a class, not attend a class. Here are a few more example sentences. I usually skip lunch. I usually skip dinner. I usually skip class. In this sentence, we don't use the article a and say skip a class, as this sentence is more about skipping classes in a more general sense, rather than skipping one particular class. Okay, so let's practice saying these sentences. I usually skip breakfast. I usually skip lunch. I usually skip dinner. I usually skip class. Excellent job, well done. Okay, so before we do the final practice, let's listen to the dialogue again. What do you have for breakfast? I normally have some coffee. What about you? I usually skip breakfast. Now let's practice the dialogue. We will do 2 speaking practices so that you can practice both roles. All the lines will be on the screen, so when it's your turn, please read the line and participate in the dialogue. What do you have for breakfast? I usually skip breakfast. I normally have some coffee. What about you? Fantastic job today, well done. Okay, so in this lesson, we learned how to talk about what we normally have for breakfast. The next lesson is a speaking drill lesson, so do make sure to take that lesson for more speaking practice. See you soon again. Bye bye.